Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today what we are going to be going over is the 2020 elections if there were to be a Supreme Court pick, if Trump and the Republicans in the Senate were able to keep enough support to actually send through a Supreme Court pick to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg after her death recently. So this is an issue that has definitely divided a lot of not only conservatives but Democrats as well. In trying to, save their electoral chances in many states, they're trying to really pick and choose on whether or not it would help Democratic turnout in some states or whether or not it would actually boost Republican turnout in some states if, it actually were to be flat out rejected by the Senate. So looking at the current state of play, so what you have on your screen right now is how I characterize the 2020 presidential election as of September 21st, 2020. Some notable changes to my map. I moved Minnesota down from a likely characterization to lean. I moved Wisconsin up from toss-up to lean, Pennsylvania down to toss-up, and Nebraska second down to toss-up as well, along with Oregon to likely. But other than that, my map has generally stayed the same over the past couple of months. And this is a pretty stagnant race. We have very few undecided voters. However, the ones that are going to make up their minds from now until November are definitely going to be the ones that are going to be impacted by, the Supreme Court pick either way. So, if they were to nominate a conservative Supreme Court justice before the election, this is kind of how I think it would go. So I think that Texas, if anything, is just going to stay the way it is. I think it would be boosted by Republican turnout and Democratic turnout, and it would just, not change too significantly. I do think that the state of Missouri would go safe. It might seem a little weird on how, with heightened Democratic turnout all across, nationwide, I think that Republicans in the state of Missouri are going to be very happy about this decision and will likely still vote because, they want to support the president's agenda. However, in certain states like New Mexico, I think that despite them having a relatively better approval rating compared to states like Nevada or Colorado, I think it would move into safe. And I also think the state of Oregon would move into safe. Even if it is just a couple of percentage points, a lot of these states like New Mexico or Oregon are on the cusp of becoming safe Democratic states where they're no longer in play for the president, for President Trump's campaign. In other states, I think that Nebraska second can move into lean and effectively would guarantee Joe Biden the presidency, now having 270 electoral votes. The state of Florida, I think, would generally stay the same, along with North Carolina. I think the state of Pennsylvania could definitely move into the lean or even likely characterizations. Pennsylvania, again, is one of those states where they have more registered Democrats. However, with them not really turning out in the past few years, with Republicans kind of gaining more ground in, the turnout race, despite that, they definitely still do have quite a liberal base that would be infuriated by a conservative justice, basically taking over the Supreme Court. I think the state of Michigan would go likely, along with Minnesota. I think New Hampshire would go likely as well. Maine second, that's a bit difficult to kind of predict. They are more conservative, however, they are very blue-collar workers, and I think that when it comes to certain protections that they want to keep, it's just going to be kind of 50-50. I don't think they're going to improve or lose anything through that. In the state of Ohio and Iowa, I think they could move into being toss-ups along with the state of Georgia. So this might seem a little weird, the fact that I moved Missouri more Republican and Georgia more Democratic. However, I think that Georgia has been trending more blue in the past general elections. You might make the case that the Democrats haven't been able to get over 48% in the state of Georgia. However, I think that if heightened turnout for the Democrats, and especially people of color in the state of Georgia, where they are very significant, they're a very significant voting bloc there, I think that they could definitely push it over. Now, we're going to look at the Senate elections. Again, this is the current state of play. This is very good for the Democrats, actually. Arizona, a formerly solidly Republican state or a Republican-leaning state, now likely for the Democrats, and if anything, could potentially go safe by Election Day. They also are competitive in the states of Montana, Iowa, and Maine, states where they do not currently hold seats. However, they're on track to pick up one. However, they are losing the state of Alabama by a decent margin. However, on pickups, Colorado, a likely margin. Cory Gardner, not very well liked, and the fact that he is going to support a justice nominee, we'll get into that, but it's not going to be good for his reelection. South Carolina, Lindsey Graham literally said, you can use my words against me, and then he is completely ignoring his own words that he said to use against him. It's a strange case here, and I think it's definitely going to benefit Jamie Harrison and him trying to unseat Lindsey Graham. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot his name. So, looking at the implications in the Senate, again, I think that Michigan will move into likely. Minnesota, still the same characterization. Iowa, I think, would say the same. Maine could move into a lean state. I think Montana, I think, if anything, it would move into the lean Republican column. Montana does not have a very strong Democratic identity at all. They do tend to vote for Democrats on the state level, not on the presidential level, but on the state level, they're pretty solidly voting. Well, not solidly voting. They're very competitive when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. I think that the state of New Mexico and Colorado could be safe for the Democrats. I think that with heightened Democratic turnout in both of these states, even with Colorado being a pickup, could potentially go over 15 points for John Hickenlooper, which might seem crazy, but the fact is, approving these Supreme Court justices are overwhelmingly unpopular throughout the country. A lot of voters and even Republican states do not approve of the way that the Senate and President Trump are actually going about this. I think that Kentucky could move into a likely state. Some people think that Kentucky is a toss-up state. I do not think that at all. I think that Kentucky is not going to be close whatsoever, but it could get under 15 points. The state of South Carolina, I could see becoming as a more of a toss-up state along with the state of Georgia. However, I still do think that their special election is going to be between two Republicans, even with heightened turnout. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. However, the other states, even Texas, Alaska, Kansas, I'm just going to leave them as they are. I don't think too much would fundamentally change in those states. Now we are going to look at the House elections. These are my current maps. The Democrats, with their lean, likely, and solid seats, they're already at the majority. And for the Republicans, it's going to be very difficult for them to try and already take back the House, which is very solidly going for the Democrats, no matter what. However, with, a lot of Republicans and, with a lot of Democrats coming out against the Republicans due to the fact that they are supporting, an agenda that they were completely against 4 years ago, it's going to be very difficult for them to win. I think that in the state of California, their 25th congressional district can move into the lean characterization. Went for a likely margin for Katie Hill. However, Mike Garcia is a pretty good candidate for the Republicans, and he's been faring pretty well against Chrissy Smith. I think that in the state of Arizona, I think it's Schwartz. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, but he's very unpopular in this district, and I think that he could definitely flip it. I think Velado, again, I'm not sure how to say most of these names, but I think that he definitely is on track to win re-election. I think that him unseating the current Republican was a bit of a shock on election night in 2018, despite the fact that it was a Republican holding a Democratic district. In the state of New Mexico, I think that their second congressional district, I think this is second or first, could go to Torres Small. I think it is going to be super close. It was one of the closest races back in 2018. And with a heavy Latina and Latino population in the state of New Mexico, and also a heavy Native population. I think a lot of people forget that in Arizona, in New Mexico, in Oklahoma, in many other states, there's a heavy Native population. And they're generally, they don't tend to vote in the same ways in many different states. And it's pretty interesting to see how they're actually going to vote. So I think, with their protections actually being under attack, they would actually vote for the Democrats in this type of scenario. I think that, Will Hurd's old seat could go lean. Oklahoma, their 5th congressional district, I think would go lean for. I'm not sure who the Republican challenger is. I think there's a runoff. But it's going to be very difficult for Kendra Horn to try to win re-election. Oklahoma, French Hill, probably going to cruise to re-election, especially if this were to happen. I think it's not too Democratic of a district. The state of Florida, maybe. Marcastle Powell. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at these names. Yeah, Debbie Mercarsel Powell. I think that she could move it more into a lean characterization, along with Donna Shalala. In Nebraska second, like in the presidential characterization, I think that it could go lean. Colorado, probably saying the same. Minnesota, potentially Colin Peterson's district could go back into a toss-up. That's generally it. Wisconsin, I'm going to say the same. Maybe Fred Upton's district can get a little bit more competitive. Alyssa Slotkin's district could get a little more safe blue. Indiana, going to say the same. Illinois, who is in this district now? I keep forgetting. Yeah, Sherry Bustos. Yeah, that's how you say it, I think. That I think that it's going to, maybe move more into the solid direction. The state of Iowa, I'm just going to leave it. I think Iowa is a very difficult state to try and predict. Georgia, yeah, going to say the same, along with South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. What's her name again? Yeah, Elaine Luria. I think that she could move it back into a lean characterization. Andy Kim in New Jersey could probably move this into a lean characterization as well. The Erie district could go into a toss-up. Max Rose's district could go into lean. The rest of New York, I'm just going to leave as is. And yeah, this is generally going to be the overall implications in the House, where the Democrats, I think from my original predictions, picked up 9 House seats. And, the Republicans did pick up a couple as well. However, it's going to be very, very difficult for the Republicans to actually try and make light of a situation where they're completely contradicting themselves for their agenda back in 2016. So, yeah, this is the different 2020 maps. If, President Trump and the Senate Republicans were to confirm a conservative Supreme Court justice after the vacancy left by Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you agree and down in the comments below. Leave suggestions as well. And thank you.